Hello, welcome to the Sigma Made Simple channel. This channel is dedicated to explaining the principles of Lean Sigma and Six Sigma to anyone with little or no knowledge but wish to make an improvement to a measurable process. My name is Dennis Wells, and I was learning about these tools even before I was certified in 2008 as a Six Sigma Black Belt and a Lean Sigma Green Belt in 2009. I have acted as a Master Black Belt, where I mentored many engineers for their Black Belt certification, trained personnel, mentored interns, and trained managers on these tools. Even in semi-retirement, I continue teaching and learning as I believe in their power when applied properly. That is what I hope to show you on this channel. This video will show you another use for an eye chart using a real-life example from a project that has been going on since 2012. The nonprofit that we're going to talk about today is the International Wolf Center. What we did was we looked for areas of improvement. We settled on admissions since it's an important part of their outreach program as well as an important source of income to support the center. We'll review the data type that they had in admissions, and we're also going to review the results of the project. So in 1989, a temporary facility was established in Ely for the future International Wolf Center. The International Wolf Center is an education-based nonprofit founded by Dave Meach. The mission of the International Wolf Center is the International Wolf Center advances the survival of wolf populations by teaching about wolves, their relationship to wildlands, and the human role in their future. The organization has an education-based approach, and which is what attracted me to the International Wolf Center. I started working with them in 2010 after a trip I had gone on with Dave Meach and Nancy Gibson and Neil Hutt and quite a few other Wolf Center people. And they asked me to join the board in 2010, and my wife joined the board. We were on the board of directors for a while, and that's where I was telling them about Six Sigma and Lean Sigma, what I could do for them. So their education approach is what made me really interested in the Wolf Center. And what was really interesting was no matter what the question is, they would supply the answer based on decades of research done by biologists all over the world. Sometimes the answer is nice, and sometimes it's not what you may expect. Either way, they supply facts about wolves, which is very unique for a nonprofit. You can go to wolf.org to learn more and support this excellent organization. We're going to jump over there really quick just to show you what it looks like so you can make sure that you get the right website. This is what the website looks like. It's really a beautiful website. It's got a lot of great information. It's got live cams on here. We'll frequently ask questions, types of wolves. You can see there's all kinds of excellent data in here. And if you want to talk to somebody, then you can just go to the support, look through here about, go to contact if you have a question. There's a list of board of directors. See if you want to visit. There's a nice little tab here for planning your visit. If you ever get up to Ely, I would suggest that you go there. So, in November 2012, I began working with the executive director, Mary Ortiz. Today, the executive director is Grant Spickelmeyer, and he's supporting this project, and we're considering another area for this project, for our project. But at the time, Mary wanted to review the data in some of their areas to see if there were any trends and if they should be focused on any areas that needed improvement. Well, I reviewed several areas, but admissions was the one which Mary felt was the most important. She had given me data for membership and admissions. They had been collecting it ever since they opened in 1993 as a permanent center. And as I had asked her for an area that she thought that would be stable and an area that she thought might need help. So originally she thought admissions was stable and membership needed some help. As it turned out, membership was stable. It had a lot of fluctuations, making it appear to be unpredictable, but it was a lot of multi-frequency going on there, and it was very odd data. But once we were able to interpret the data, we found out that it was actually pretty stable and predictable. And if they had modified their processes slightly, the volatility would go away, and then the standard deviation would decrease, and it would be easier. And that's a possible new project for them. But I'll talk to Grant about that another time. We found that they actually had a lot of control over membership, and so I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Um, it was more stable than admissions. Or, so we felt like admissions was the most important one. So admissions turns out had a downward trend. It was making it a changing trend data. It also had a lot of frequent multi-frequency. It was hard to see that there was a downward trend because of the multi-frequency and the downward trend. We'll talk about this more later. The point is, until you really look at data with a statistical view, you can be misled very easily. Changing trends and multi-frequencies can often make data appear to be useful when it's not, or it can hide trends that could be dangerous. So admissions into the Ely Center is one of the main ways the International Wolf Center supports its outreach for education. It's also a source of income, supporting the wolf pack displayed at the Ely Center. Yes, they have a live wolf pack, and people can spend hours there watching them. And it also supports their education programs. The educational programs are offered for a range of ages. If you're interested in having a program at your school or for a group, go to wolf.org and fill out the contact information. If you're looking for a family vacation or vacation with your friends and you like the outdoors, the Boundary Waters Canoe Area in Ely is exceptional. You can visit the International Wolf Center, North American Bear Center, and the Dorothy Moulter Museum in between your fishing, camping, and hiking excursions. You'll not find a better fishing than up in the Boundary Waters Canoe Area in the continental United States. And there are outfitters up there that can help ensure that you're prepared for everything. So we applied an individual's chart to the admissions data from the Ely facility. Before we could do this, we had to look at the data that had been collected since July 1993. We graphed the total admissions by year from 1994, which was the first full year, to 2011, which was the last full year. So as you can see, there was a changing trend. It's trending down over time from 1993 to 2011. And after cleaning up the data, we were losing about 750 admissions per year. There also appeared to be some years that had a much higher admissions than others. And we used a different data cleaning method than what I showed you in another one. And it's another method that you can use to clean up data. I was saving it for this video because this is where it was first used. There is a video earlier. It's video 4 of 9 on value stream mapping. Normal data is not always usable. That video shows you other cleaning methods. But what we did here is we removed the year 2000 data from the calculation defining the trending mean and the control limits. So we removed this data point up here, that big spike. And then we used the rest of the data to calculate the control limits and the trending mean. And what we found was it was outside. So, and then what you do is you could remove some other data points, one other data point, and you keep removing one data point until you get to the point where all the data is inside. But anyway, this did indicate that the year 2000 had a special cause. At the time, I didn't know what that special cause may be. So I asked Mary, what may have been the reason for the year 2002's highest emissions, 2002's highest emissions? She said that was a pup year and that they had pups back in 2000. She also went on to say that they had pups in 2004, 2008, and coming up in 2012. So I removed the data from the pup years 2000, 2004, one at a time, recalculating the trending mean, the trending control limits, and looked for any special cause. And there was special cause there, due to the pup years. And after we did that, we can start looking for additional data that may have special cause. So this is uh, basically what I was doing before. When I took out the year 2000, you'll notice that the year 2000 is missing in here. 2002 and 2005 kind of look like they might be special cause variation as well. Here's 2002. We took the 2002 data out and recalculated the trending mean and control limits, and it was outside, so that means there's special cause there. And even though Mary couldn't quite remember what happened in 2002, I felt it was okay to remove it because it had been a while since we had done anything in there, and it was outside if you did exclude it from the calculations. So we wanted to ensure that these years were special cause, and this supports special cause, even though she couldn't remember what it was. I would have liked it if she would have remembered it, but that's okay. For now, we're going to move forward. So what we're doing here, when we're doing this, is we're looking for a good standard deviation so that we can tell rather quickly when something's changing. So I've included in the standard deviation, um, it would have been very largely inflated, and it probably would have caused an error where we thought there was no change in the data when there was, or the opposite. So remove 2002 from the equation. You can see remove 2002 from the equation, and the trending mean and upper control limits. As you can see, it's outside the control limits. It's right outside. So we left it out. I said that earlier. Then we removed 2005 from the calculations. And here's 2005. Removed 2005 from the calculations, but it didn't really affect anything. So we left 2005 in there. Our next issue is we would have to make a change and then wait for an entire year or many years to see if it had an impact, because we're graphing everything by year, and that is a long time to wait, especially if you're going to make a change. It's going to have a smaller impact. You might have to wait up to 8 years to see if you've really had an effect. Well, we don't want to do that. So we decided to go month to month. They had collected the data month to month, so we decided to look at it month to month, and then we can look at the previous month's worth of data. It gets more complicated, but I'll explain all this in a few minutes. So we looked at an XY scatter of the month to month because she told us that there was some multi-frequency going on. We already found a multi-frequency with pup years, and we removed those. This is without the pup years in there. And then she told us that in June and July we have a lot more visitors than January and December. Just made sense. We're gonna have to do an eye chart for every individual month. And then if you look at this, this is my XY scatter, and you'll see that July is pretty much the busiest month, and August is pretty darn close. And then it goes down to June and September. They drop down, but they're still getting many thousands of visitors. And then it goes down to May and April, then February, March, January, October, November, then December. But they're all pretty much grouped in here. But they are um, that data that's separate. You don't want to combine those into a group or keep every month by itself. So we created a spreadsheet, and it took all of this into account. And first, we used each month's data to create an eye chart that's unique to that month. And then we created formulas that looked at not only the previous year's data, but the previous months. Now, this is the difficult part. This is an example of July. And if we had made a change in June and July was up, let's say not quite above the control limit, but let's say it's above 2 standard deviations, well, then we'd have to wait till next year in July to figure out, you know, was it significant? But what we can do instead is we can look at July. And if July has a data point that's above 2 standard deviations, and then August has a data point that's above 2 standard deviations, well, now we know. So what we're doing is instead of looking at the number, we're looking at the buckets. So in July, we'll say we're in the 2 to 3 standard deviation bucket. We're above 2, but we're below 3 in July. Then we look at August, and it doesn't matter what the number is. Is it in that bucket between 2 and 3 standard deviations? Yes. Well, that's statistically significant. So now we can find out within a couple of months um, whether or not a change that we've made has it had an impact. What we did was we looked for data that was above the upper control limit, which is this gray line, or below the yellow line, which is the lower control limit. Any single value above or below there would be statistically significant. Then we look for 2 of 3 data in a row, more than 2 standard deviations from the mean on the same side. So more than 2 standard deviations above in a row for July, August, that's significant, or below. And 4 of 5 data in a row, more than 1 standard deviation. Same thing, has to be on the same side, 4 of 5 in a row. Then 8 data in a row on the same side. So you can see if we're looking for 8 data in a row on the same side and we're going by year, we'd have to wait 8 years. But because we're going by month and we're only looking at the bucket, we can look at July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. Now we'll know. This is a typical month, is what it looked like. Pretty normal looking data, trending down, unfortunately. This is with all the frequencies removed. This is a mono frequency changing trend. And that's what we really want. We always want to have a mono frequency. And we can deal with a changing trend. That video I told you about earlier tells you how to do that. So statistically significance, it began to occur immediately. In 2014 of May, we added an exhibit from a local photographer named Heidi Pinkerton, a Root River photography. She had some exceptional aurora photos. You should check out her shop. We're going to jump over there real quick just to give her a little shout out because she does a lot of great work for everybody and she's a wonderful artist. You can see there's some beautiful photos that you can purchase from her shop. She also has things for the International Wolf Center here, Mustang Love, North American Bear Center, all kinds of beautiful things. She does excellent work. If you're looking for something nice for your office or for your home, you could probably find it here. Thanks, Heidi, for all your work. So the exhibit explored the relationship between wolves, wild lions, and the aurora. It's a big year for the aurora back then in 2012, and you'd be hard pressed to find a better viewing area in the continental United States for the aurora than up in Ely. It's hardly any light noise out there, and there are some bluffs that you can go out and you can get a great view. We also acquired a grant to put up some billboards in Minneapolis and on the highway to Ely. The exhibit was meant to showcase a local photographer to those visiting the area and bring locals back in who have not been to the center for years. The billboards in Minneapolis encourage people to go to Ely, and the billboards on the road to Ely encourage people traveling to stop by Ely, the Wolf Center in Ely. You can see there's 2 red boxes in 2014 and 2015 right here, which that notes the beginning of the flattening of the trend. So in 2014 and 2015, it was a slow, but it did flatten out. It was easier to detect by looking at the trend month to month. And that year, we also looked at some data from some other organizations in the area, and we charted their change and our change, and the difference between our data and the other organizations was statistically significant. We were flattening out. 2015, we had raptors exhibit showing the relationship between wolves and raptors. That was also a very good exhibit. We removed the billboards in Minneapolis. Research has shown that the billboards are most effective when they're placed on the road to Ely. In 2016, the Wolf Center had pups, so it was a high admission year again, which meant that we had to wait for 2017. And then, as you can see, in 2017, we had a jump. So all these things started hitting on all cylinders. Of course, the last few years are not as good for reasons we can't control, like COVID closures. But for the months we have been open with no closures, it appears the admissions are stable at about 39,000 per year, which is a lot better than the predicted 29,000 for this period. Um, it was going to be 29,000 for 2022, and we're probably sitting right up around here on 39,000. Okay, so as you can see, the eye charts used to detect the effectiveness of the change. So if you know an organization that would like something like this, to tell them about this channel, and feel free to reach out to me. I love doing this stuff, and I'll probably do it for a nonprofit just for the fun of it. But the whole point here is we use an eye chart to look at um, admissions coming into a facility. We dug in, discerned the difference between the frequencies and the changing trend, and started making changes to our process and enhanced locals and people coming up to Ely area to drop by, and it had an effect, and that was very powerful. So you should head up to Ely, Minnesota if you like the outdoors. While you're there, visit the International Wolf Center and check out Heidi's photos. Head over to the North American Bear Center and the Dorothy Moultrie Museum for some root beer. Then get your permits and head out to the Boundary Waters canoe area for some of the best fishing you can get. In the next video, I'll show you the 4 eye charts I created, which can be used for this purpose. They can be used to help with admissions, with anything. If you can measure it, you can use these eye charts to help you detect if you've improved the process. They take into account a changing trend as well as a stable trend, and a mono as well as multi-frequency. So if you found this video useful, like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with anyone else who may find it useful. If you didn't find this video useful, then subscribe in the hope that an upcoming video will be useful. Eventually, we'll go through projects using the Lean Sigma and Six Sigma tools, as well as the tools needed to support them. Remember, a wise person learns from their mistakes, while a genius learns from the mistakes of others. Choose wise. Don't choose wisely. Choose to be the genius. And I'll see you soon.